Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Freaky Friday here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best, joined by Sterling Holmes. Sterling, we venture into uncharted territory. The Kansas City Chiefs are 0-2. This is very unfamiliar for us. How are you feeling about it?
I'm fine, man. I think there's been overreactions that have permeated throughout Kansas City, and I think that we need to pump the brakes just a little bit. Do I think there are cracks? Yes, but I think there have been cracks in the foundation for a couple of years now. You look at 2022, this team averaged around 29 points a game. 23, it was, I believe, 23 points. Last year was about 22 to 21 points. It's not sustainable. We've seen this downturn, but I think they can fix it. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year. But at the end of the day, when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid and you have Spagnuolo in this defense, you're going to be in a lot of games. Might not be the same way it was in 2018 when you averaged 35 points a game. Also, you didn't win in 2018. This is a much more balanced team, and offensively, yes, it's bad now, but I don't think it'll be bad all year long.
The New York Football Giants are kind of the ultimate get-right game. I mean, theoretically, this is a good place to be if you're 0-2. You don't want to be 0-2 facing the Detroit Lions or the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills. All of them are on the upcoming slate, but this week, I think this is a matchup that kind of tilts into the Kansas City Chiefs' favor. We have a full breakdown of the game for you guys today, but before we get into that, a little bit of business.
Yeah, baby. And you know what that business is. That business is hopefully making money. And that's what you do on Underdog. Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. It is super easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. You get your pick right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash, and you can play with as little as $1. Sometimes that's all you want, just something easy. You don't have to put $50 down. Play with $1, and you still get little bumps in your chest on game day. So this week for Sunday Night Football, Chiefs, Giants, I'll pick one right now. I'm taking the lower on Malik Neighbors, 79.5 rush plus receiving yards. I'm going lower. Russell Wilson, 225.5 pass yards seems way too high in my mind. I'm going lower. I believe in the Chiefs defense and their secondary. Let me see if they have pass yards up yet for Patrick Mahomes. They do, 232.5. Shockingly, I am going to go higher. So I have Patrick higher, Malik Neighbors lower, Russell Wilson lower. So that is what I am rolling with. I'm doing it right now. Super easy. And boom, just like that, I have made my Underdog lineup. It is just that simple, and you can too. All you have to do is download the app today, sign up with the promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $50 in bonus funds when you play with your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Millions of fans have won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and President State where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_HTML. For details, offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Consult with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In New York, call 24/7-HOPE-LINE at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
They are good at setting those lines, man. I thought I had my prediction on yesterday's show was James Cook higher than 69.5. Nailed it. I thought game script Devon Achane was going to have higher than 39.5 receiving yards. Even though he had 8 catches, he did not. So it's tricky to get right. And that line for Russell Wilson, 225. Last week he had 450. Now it was an overtime shootout, but
And what was the week before?
I don't know. A lot lower, considerably lower. So yeah, I do not think he's going to be going for 450 against Steve Spagnuolo. I think we're safe to assume that. Let's get into our preview. Kansas City Chiefs at New York Giants. 10 things to watch. Sterling, I have some kind of things I'm watching for this game. I'm going to rip through them and get your thoughts. And we're going to kind of set the table for our audience on what to look out for this Sunday evening on primetime.
Let's do it.
First up is the offensive playbook has gone stale. A couple of notes here. I think that a lot of people agree that there's too much shotgun, not enough under center, that the Chiefs aren't evolving with the rest of the league as it ebbs and flows. Too much RPO without the option being a threat. When you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you know he will scramble, but he's not getting designed runs. So I don't think the RPOs are really working for them. And then you see these teams with lesser QBs kind of scheming circles around Kansas City, the Detroits, the Green Bays. I'm not talking about Buffalo. I'm not talking about Baltimore. I'm talking about teams that just look like they're more in tune and ahead of defensive play calling than the Kansas City Chiefs are currently. Where are you at with the playbook?
Yeah, I've talked about this a little bit on radio this entire week. You look at it, and it's weird saying an Andy Reid-led offense is stale and boring and even to an extent predictable, yet here we are. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we don't know what goes on in every single meeting. I have no idea if Matt Nagy is challenging all of the thoughts to Andy Reid and Andy says, hey, no, I'm doing it my way. But the point I'm bringing up here is Andy Reid. Connor Embry's first gig was in KC. Andy Heck's been with the Chiefs ever since Andy got here, and he was with the Eagles before that. Pinkston, I think his first job was here in Kansas. All these guys have gotten their first start either with Andy. Actually, yeah, they'll all be with Andy. So the point I'm trying to make here is there's no new ideas coming in. The message has gotten stale, at least in my opinion. They all come from the same tree, so almost all of them have the same ideas. Again, maybe I'm wrong here, but that's my takeaway on this. You need someone to bring in some creativity, someone different. I do think, what's hilarious after watching the Miami game last night, Mike McDaniel is a bad head coach. But man, would I love him as the run game coordinator for KC, because that offense was creative. It was unique. Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, yeah, they're great players. They were open perpetually in that game. If Tua Tagovailoa, my main takeaway, was any good, that Miami offense would look explosive. He's just not good anymore. He is buns. But I think Mike McDaniel could coach. So I'm sitting here going, yeah, everyone's Devon Achane. Everyone's Tyreek Hill. What about Mike McDaniel when he gets canned? Have him come to KC and be a little run game coordinator. Give him some sort of title. I think the message has gotten stale. I think that's why the run game has gotten so stale as well. They need to switch some things up.
Great minds think alike. I had a tweet that I just kind of threw out there early in the week thinking no one would react to it, and it did numbers. And it was basically saying Mike McDaniel, when he was the run game coordinator in San Francisco, he was doing big things with guys like Tevin Coleman, Alfred Morris, Matt Breida, Jeff Wilson, and Raheem Mostert. Not exactly household names. And I'm totally with you. My dad and I spoke about this yesterday. I think the Chiefs need more of a team of rivals. I'm not saying Matt Nagy is the problem. Andy Reid calls the plays. He is the offensive mastermind. But I just don't think there are enough new ideas, like you said. There's nobody kind of challenging. I want to see this team of rivals. And I think someone from a McVay, Shanahan coaching tree or some other coaching tree other than just, it's very homogenous in Kansas City. It's everyone has kind of the same ideas and the same background. And I think they're running into a wall when it comes to innovation and how to outpace defenses. They're just kind of stuck. All right. We're in agreement there. Definitely something to watch if they shake things up a little bit throughout the season. I'm not really expecting them to. I think Andy's a little stubborn in this regard, but we will see. Number 2, the Giants are letting Russ cook. It was interesting. Last week, we saw Russell Wilson unleash the moon balls. And I think Brian Dable is doing something there with play action, with kind of like easy button throws and those deep shots and nothing in between. It's kind of like the old what is his name? Mooney, the guy in the NBA who said, I want dunks or 3-pointers, right? Am I hitting on the right guy? I think that's the kind of playbook they have for Russell Wilson. And not only Malik Neighbors looked good. I mean, he looked otherworldly, and we expect that from Malik Neighbors. I think he's a top 5 receiver in this league now. But Wan'Dale Robinson, who has kind of been a dink and dunk kind of slot merchant, his ADOT was over 10 last week. And he had at Kentucky in college, he had a season like that, I believe. So was that an aberration, or have the Giants found something and unlocked something in Russ that we haven't seen since Seattle?
No. NFL quarterbacks will occasionally have great games. Hell, Kirk Cousins threw for 450 yards last year and then got benched. I think he has the all-time Falcons record for pass yards in a game. No, it happens. Guys will have great games. Malik Neighbors is really good. Wan'Dale Robinson is outstanding. I really like Wan'Dale Robinson. He's been a PPR guy. 10 receptions for 30 yards has been his MO. It's kind of like Hollywood Brown a little bit this year, where it's like, oh, man, you're really good at catching 5 targets for 30 yards. But he got involved in the deep ball, which was great to see. I also think the Cowboys secondary just isn't very good. I think the Chiefs secondary is much better. We've seen Russell Wilson look good and horrible both against KC. I think you'll see a bad Russ against KC this upcoming week. The moon ball is a little bit of a concern, especially with what Devontae Smith did to Trent McDuffie on that 50-50 ball. But still, point remains, no, this is an aberration. I don't think Russell Wilson, as we heard on my underdog rant right there, I'm going under. I think he returns back to his 168-ish yards like he threw in week 1.
That is the only real weakness in Trent McDuffie's game, is sometimes guys can just do the too small to him. Malik Neighbors, man, he was roasting Trayvon Diggs. But keep in mind, they were without Deron Bland last week, the Cowboys. And this is what happens when you transfer the best pass rusher in the league, or the second best pass rusher in the league. He's up there in Micah Parsons. Suddenly, Green Bay has like the best defense in football, and the Cowboys look like any team in the league can drop 40 on them. I maybe not the Eagles, because I think the Eagles are having some play calling issues, much like the Chiefs. But and that actually brings us to number 3, the Steve Spagnuolo blitzkrieg. He blitzed Jalen Hurts on 56% of dropbacks last week, had moderate success. Is this sustainable, man? Like, is this what they have to do? We'll get to the defensive line, but with them kind of struggling, is this just what Spags has to dial up?
Yes, he has to. Ooh. Is it sustainable? No, it's not sustainable, but he has to right now, because as we're going to get into in a moment, the pass rush is atrocious. I'll get into some numbers once we get to that segment, but yes, Spags has to do this. He didn't week 1 against Herbert, and there was zero pressure. I mean, I love the Omar Norman Lott sack as much as the next guy. It was awesome. Hammering him down. It's like 6 seconds. It wasn't like it was a quick win. It's like 6 seconds.
5 Mississippi, man.
The fact that the Chiefs secondary looked as good as they did is ridiculous with how long they had to hold. So, yeah, you have to blitz. If you don't blitz, they have all day. Now, the Eagles' offensive line is much better than the Giants, especially if Andrew Thomas does not play. He's missed the first 2 weeks. We'll find out. But it's not like the Chiefs did a great job against the Chargers' backup right tackle. So, yeah, I think the answer is yes, they have to blitz if they want to get any pressure, because they just cannot get any with their front four. By the way, shout out to Dog Petter. Appreciate this super chat here. Put Pat under center. I formation with Steele. And tell Pacheco to follow Steele to the hole. Pacheco might miss. Might step on the back of Steele's shoes. I don't know. No, I don't even know if that would work. They don't have Steele currently on the 53. He's on the practice squad, so you can make a call up. I just don't see that happening. I would prefer it with Brashard Smith, honestly, because you at least have some speed back there. I know Pacheco spoke today in regards to he needs to be better, letting plays develop and vision and all that stuff. But I don't know if I formation even helps with this Chiefs run offense right now, but I guess it couldn't hurt.
And thank you for the super chat. We always appreciate that. You know, if there's one of 2 or 3 coaches that I trust to blitz this much and get it right more than wrong, it's Steve Spagnuolo, maybe like Brian Flores, right? Like there's just a few guys that can do this. Spags is one of them, but I would much prefer Spags to blitz about 30% of the time and dip into his bag at choice moments with the exact right pitch, because the more you're guessing, the more you're guessing wrong. That's just how this works. Not great. And the reason he's doing this is number 4, the Chiefs defensive line not generating enough pressure. Chris Jones has a pass rush win rate of 10.3%. For those familiar with his history, he is almost always above 18%, which is outstanding for a defensive tackle. That's where Dexter Lawrence is right now for the Giants. I think George Karlaftis is underachieving. Charles Omenihu has been basically invisible. Now we have Mike Dana out with the quad injury, and hopefully Ashton Gelati a little bit to the rescue. You said you have some numbers. I'm eager to hear you weigh in on this, Sterling.
So Charles Omenihu is ranked, according to PFF, the 145th out of 148th edge rusher. 145 out of 148. Well, it's shocking, not even the worst in the Chiefs. Mike Dana was 148 out of 148. Yeah, that's not ideal. That's not going to play. And after all of the consternation and all of the talk, now it's 2 games, so he can get right and get back, but Charles Omenihu's Twitter account just talking about, oh, I'm back with a vengeance, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I got something to prove. I didn't get this contract that I wanted. I'm going to prove why I'm a XX amount of money guy. And then he does this so far. He has 2 pressures all year long. Mike Dana has 0. I mean, Derek Nottie is ranked as one of the worst defensive tackles in the entire NFL. I don't even know how they've done as decent as they have. I mean, 3 of their main guys, 3 of their heavy rotational pieces, and Nottie, Dana, and Omenihu have been really, really bad. The fact that they've been in both games and they're not getting ran all over and not giving up 35 points a game is a huge testament to Spags. Something has to change. Again, it's a small sample size against decent offensive lines, but that's why they pay you. That's why you re-signed George Karlaftis to the contract that he has. That's why you brought back Mike Dana. That's why Charles Omenihu is still here. You got to get pressure with 4.
It's interesting with Mike Dana and George Karlaftis. I remember both of them starting slow last season, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's conditioning or that these guys, the way they're built, they get stronger as the season goes on because they're kind of power players and not finesse players. But man, this kind of prototype that Steve Spagnuolo has bet on at the edge position time and time again. I know a lot of people have talked about Joshua Uche going to Philadelphia and kind of finding a home there and some success after not getting on the field in Kansas City. Is this another like scheme, coaching, playbook issue here?
Well, no, it's scheme related, obviously, and this is what makes it so hard. Is Spags is such a great defensive coordinator, and you're going to take him over any DC in the NFL. I mean, he is going to be a Hall of Famer as a defensive coordinator. It's unheard of. So you're going to have to live and die with what he likes, because more times than not, he is going to get it right. It is intriguing that Uche couldn't see the field last year, and yet he is thriving in Philly. But if it doesn't fit Spags' defense and the defense is still good overall, well, then how am I going to find a ton of fault with it, right? Spags is almost just making it harder on himself. Because the results, I think, outside of the final drive where Chris Jones went inside, like, the defense has been pretty darn good. Chargers game, soft zone, that was all on Spags, and he put it all on himself. He looked back and goes, that was one of the worst, games I've called. But more times than not, he's going to get it right. He's just putting way more pressure on himself because he keeps liking guys that are not quick winners. So as long as the results overall are good, I don't have an issue. But it is frustrating to see guys like Uche thrive elsewhere. That's why I've even questioned about FAU more and more of, is FAU actually not a bad player, but he is in that Uche mold, which means that's not a Spags guy, which means, again, goes back to not maybe the best draft pick.
Man, if you want to see Chiefs Kingdom blow their lid, FAU going somewhere else and being really good would just really do everybody in. And I think this is just kind of an idiosyncratic part of the Spags defense. It's the same thing with the secondary, how he doesn't really go after ball hawks. I think he is a bend but don't break kind of guy. He is, and he likes to dial up pressure. He likes sure tacklers. He likes edges that can stand up against the run. It's not always going to be the sexiest, like tons of sacks and creating turnovers defense, but it gets the job done, especially in big moments. So I think we have to trust Steve Spagnuolo. Also, year after year, maybe not last year, but generally this Chiefs defense is better at the end of the year and in the playoffs than it started. It kind of starts slow. Number 5, with the other defensive line in this game, it is a completely different story. That Giants defensive line is nightmare fuel. They have 4 players with a pass rush win rate higher than Chris Jones right now. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. That is quite the foursome there, man. Can the Chiefs offensive line hold up? I'm not worried about Trey. I'm not worried about Creed. I'm looking at Jawan, Josh, and Kingsley Sumaria.
Yeah. The Giants, for as bad as their defense is, and they're atrocious. I mean, that defense, it almost doesn't make sense. Like, you have 4 or 5 studs on that defense, and then you look at their overall rankings, and they are brutal. They can only generate a pass rush, but that secondary is not good. They are really, really bad when it comes to stopping the run. I mean, one of the worst teams in the NFL. You know how Chris Jones said in his press, like, Spags isn't going to like me saying this, but we stopped the run on our way to the quarterback. It's like the Giants, like, yeah, we're just going to go after the quarterback. Play action, we don't care. Let the running back go. We're just going to go after the QB and try and get sacks. That's what it feels like. And I'm with you that the O-line needs to do a great job because that has been a slight issue for the Chiefs this year, but I think they can do solid enough. I mean, the cornerbacks and the linebackers and the safeties for the Giants just aren't good. Even with a banged up wide receiving core for KC, if Worthy can go at all. Yeah, the Giants D-line is good getting after the quarterback. But again, even Pacheco and Kareem Hunt should have some lanes in this one to alleviate some of those concerns.
They've got one good player back in that secondary right now. And it's my guy, Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky, who I thought was like the ultimate Spags corner. But Javon Holland, I think disappointing. Paulson Adebo, like we thought these were like good free agent signings. They've kind of been a disaster. They look like the worst secondary. I mean, one of them in the league along with Dallas. So I'm with you. I think they can hold up. If they held up against the Eagles, if they held up against Khalil Mack, they should be able to get the job done in New York on Sunday. Number 6, Tyquan Thornton is providing deep ball CPR for the Chiefs. In the past 2 weeks, he's had catches of 39 and 48 yards. And then in the preseason, he also had one that went for 58 against the Bears. Is this an ongoing trend? Is this a more reliable version of MVS or Justin Watson?
Yes. I've bought in. I've said the same thing where it's a more consistent receiving option than Justin Watson on the deep ball. Better hands than MVS. Like, I like Justin Watson. He had a role in this team. He's a really good blocker. He did a lot of the little things as well. So this is not me trying to take a shot at any other player, right? I don't like to conflate that. But Tyquan's better at this one specific thing. He's a better ball tracker, especially at this point in their career. Justin Watson, it felt like as his tenure in KC went on, it felt like maybe he lost a step or so it wasn't quite as valuable. MVS, it was more or less the hands than anything else. I don't actually think he had issue getting open a ton. It was more or less bringing the ball down. And he was great in the playoffs. So again, not trying to play off MVS is a real thing. I mean, he was outstanding. But consistency-wise, this just looks like a legitimate deep ball threat. He's been open a ton. Quite frankly, he should have more balls brought in. Patrick's overthrown him or had a bad throw to him multiple times now where I'm like, man, he's got to step on the defender. Like, he is getting open. So, yeah, I don't see why this is not sustainable. It's not like he's making contested catches, but he's getting open. So that has me very, very enthusiastic moving forward. So, yes, I do think this is sustainable.
Two things to consider here. First of all, top 50 pick, right? and granted, he was picked right where Sky Moore was picked. So we know these things don't always work out. He was picked where McCole Hardman was picked. However, if you look at the track record with the New England Patriots and developing their own wide receivers, especially guys that aren't slot players, it is pretty abysmal in that building. And they have a lot of the same faces they've always had in that building. So if a guy gets out of New England and he's a receiver, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on him. That's one of the reasons I'm encouraged about Tyquan Thornton. Number 7, Travis Kelce. I hate to do this, but Travis Kelce, costly mistakes, name a more iconic duo. I think you have to say he is the biggest reason for 2 consecutive losses because, I mean, he took accountability for that route. It was a human error when he hurt accidentally Xavier Worthy in that first game. And then the last game, that bobble in the end zone that went to Andrew Makuba, that should have been a touchdown if it wasn't for the heroics of Josh Simmons. That really swung the game. And I don't know, you just kind of have to look to a guy, even if he's in a diminished form, like Travis Kelce, for leadership and not making blunders in big moments. Do you think he can turn this around?
Yeah, I think he can. I don't think he's why the Chiefs lost the first 2 games. I think there were a lot of other reasons. I think there were a lot of reasons why the Chiefs lost the first 2 games. He did not help, though, right? I think both things can be true. I don't want to say that he's the only reason the Chiefs are 0-2 right now, but he has to be better, and he knows that. You know, that one in the end zone that he was dropped, Mahomes threw it out pretty quick, but you got to have your head turned around. Like, you just have to in that situation. You know the pass rush is coming. You know the offensive line. You know that you have your guy beat. Turn your head. He knows that. And so I don't think it's going to be a major issue. He's made that play so many times in his career. Just sucks that it's back-to-back weeks where we're sitting here going, Kelce and to an extent Chris Jones have not been helpful, right? I mean, I'm not saying they haven't made a play here or there, but consistently for what they're expected to do, even, again, Kelce having less expectations than normal, still not quite living up. But I've seen some glimpses of where I'm like, okay, so there's still a little left in the tank for Travis Kelce. I don't think he's checked out. I don't think, and I saw something dumb where it's like, 1587 opens up. That's the issue. Like, do you think he's earmuffs, kids. Is he the fucking fry cook? Like, do you think Patrick's making your damn steak? Is that what you think's going on? Is he the marketing team too? Is this what you think? So, like, is he the sommelier? Is that what you think? This pairs well, mister? Like, no, they're care about football right now. That drives me insane. He's still a good player, but expecting him to be your focal point is not the successful route at this point. And the Chiefs, with the injuries, have had to rely on him yet again, and he's just not that guy in this point of his career. He has too much on his plate. What you got to do is get Xavier Worthy back. I think that helps out a lot. Rashee Rice will really make, I think, Travis look a lot better. I think we're going to have all these conversations. We'll look back and almost laugh, I think, in week 7. I think a little bit, or maybe in week 8 or 9, once Rashee gets at least, I mean, again, it's going to be 22 games without Rashee Rice. So it's going to be a little rusty. I expect at least a little bit of rust there. But again, he'll alleviate a lot of concerns for Kelce. Worthy will help. And then Rice, I think, around week 9 or week 10, we'll look back and almost laugh at why did we have to 35, nearly 36-year-old Travis Kelce yet again be the number 1 option on this team. Oh, and by the way, you can't run the football.
That's hilarious, man. I'm just sitting here thinking about Taylor Swift bussing tables. What's going on here, guys? I think I'm pretty sure they're outsourcing this stuff, and other people are using the branding and licensing of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to make money for everybody involved. I don't think that's putting too much on their plate. I agree with you. Him being the first read all the time right now, I almost see his mind working for the first time much faster than his body can keep up with. And like, he's getting his head around a little slower, and like that mind meld that has been so prolific for Patrick and Travis, there's a little bit of a buffering lag right now. I think Patrick is expecting him to be somewhere quicker than maybe Travis can get there. And hopefully they'll recalibrate. But I agree with you. You get Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice back out there. Well, now Rashee Rice is the first read. Xavier Worthy is the second read. And Travis Kelce is more of the savvy vet who can pick and choose his spots. More like, I mean, he's kind of like late career Jason Witten. I don't know if he's that slow yet, but he's really winning with his brain and not his legs anymore. At the same time, $50 million or so are going to Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. And the expectation there is that you're Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. You are Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen. And this is just, especially without Rashee Rice, who's kind of stepping into that star vacuum, this team just does not feel the same right now. And I'm not giving up on Chris. It's a small sample size. We've seen people get down on him before, and then he comes out and has, 10 pressures in a game or 3 sacks or something. So I don't think he's peaked or there's a big drop off with Chris. Travis, I do. And I just kind of think we're paying him $20 million for past services rendered, right? Number 8, the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the Chiefs secondary. This was crazy. They were abysmal in Brazil in week 1. I don't know that I've ever seen a Spags defense leave receivers consistently as wide open as they were for the Chargers and Justin Herbert, who just looked, I've kind of changed my mind on them. I thought Rashawn Slater might sink the Chargers. Doesn't look like that's the case. Anyway, they were pretty damn stout in week 2 against Jalen Hurts. Is that more about the Eagles' passing game struggling? They can't even get the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith right now. Or is that more about Spags and Dave Merritt figuring some things out? They've got another challenge this week. Cornerback Christian Fulton is out with an ankle injury. So, Sterling, I ask you, which version will we get this Sunday?
The good one. I think we'll see the good one. I think they're still pretty talented in the secondary. Jalen Watson's looked pretty solid so far. I think week 1 is the aberration of the random. You get about it once a year, and I feel like we just got it out week 1. The bad Spags game, the one that gets the fan base fired up, and you'll hear the dumb, the absurd, the ridiculous, the hashtag fire Spags. You're like, what are we talking about here? What are we doing here? And I feel like that happens like once a year because there's one game where he just doesn't have a good play call, and it felt like week 1 against the Chargers was that game. So he got out of the way early. Why they played soft zone, I will never understand. They weren't getting any pressure, and so week 2, he adjusted. I think we saw the adjustments. We saw the adjustments of, okay, this is not going to work. Week 1, we are not doing the same thing. That cannot work. I know they expected to see more actual runs against the Chargers, but there were no adjustments. And normally Spags is a phenomenal adjuster, especially from first half to second half. I'm in on this on this secondary. It seems like, at least to me, they found a better role for Shamari Connor against the Eagles than they did a lot of last year, and including game 1. They used him more, in the run game or traditional safety or send him on the blitz. They used him as a chess piece, not as a slot coverage guy, and it worked. Brian Cook had a phenomenal game. He looked like vintage Brian Cook. Noah Williams, I think, had a bad first rep against A.J. Brown. Full transparency, I think that was pass interference. He looked lost. He got lucky. But again, he got away with it, right? And then he had a really good rep against Devontae Smith one-on-one. An incredible rep one-on-one. That gives me a lot of excitement. Jalen Watson, we know how good Trent McDuffie is. So, yeah, I think the secondary, at least in my opinion, even with the concerns I have on the pass rush, they're good enough to where, especially against this Giants team, they'll take care of business and look good.
I thought Jalen Watson was the star of the game last week. Really, defensively, I thought he was that good. He was incredible. And for Noah Williams, being asked in your first regular season action, or some of your first regular season action to match up with A.J. Brown, that is getting thrown in the deep end. And I think he's figuring it out quickly. You see him figuring it out. And I think they're deploying Shamari Connor in a way that isn't as disastrous. He does have some skills, some attributes that can help a defense if you mask over his deficiencies. What do I think happened in week 1? I think that they were reading the signals, the tea leaves, and they said, oh, this is a team that signed Najee Harris. They spent a first-round draft pick on Marion Hampton. They're without their left tackle. They're not going to throw. They're going to try to shove the ball down our throats in Brazil and get off to a good start. This is Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, for Christ's sakes. And they came out slinging it and caught the Chiefs off guard. They caught them with their pants down a little bit. I think that's kind of what happened. And they were really prepared for the Eagles. And I thought the defensive line, notwithstanding, gave the Chiefs the opportunity to win against the Eagles. Number 9, do the Chiefs have the worst running back group in the NFL? I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt are struggling. There's no other way to put it. And I thought, I understand Rashard Smith is new to the running back position. He's new to the NFL. Pass protecting in college is not the same as pass protecting in the NFL. So I know he's not ready for everything. But you can't manufacture some touches to the only explosive guy you've got in the running back room. I don't get what's going on. I think that maybe there's been a dereliction of duty here with adding running back talent at a time when the league is gravitating back towards that. Where do you stand with the running game and the players involved?
This is the worst. The numbers say it's the worst rush group in the entire NFL. I don't know how you put it any other way. I mean, you look at PFF, again, not the end-all be-all, but it backs the eye test. Pacheco's ranked 47 out of 47 running backs. That's last. Kareem Hunt's ranked 40th out of 47 running backs. Not great, Bob. I mean, I just don't know. And we tried talking ourselves into it. I was team, I didn't like this originally, and then I tried talking myself into, okay, Pacheco might be back. He's healthy, full off season. We'll see what he can do. Should have got my first instincts. I mean, it's been bad. And maybe this game is a get-right game again against a defense that you should be able to run all over. Maybe you can get right. That would alleviate a lot of issues for this team offensively if they can run the ball at all. But you look around the NFL, and every team has at least one, if not two guys that you're like, oh, that was a nice 7-yard run. That was a nice 12-yard gain. Oh, look at that. Look, you got hit behind the line of scrimmage, but at least got 3 on it. That never happens. It's like first contact, you're down. There's a hole. They're not running through it. Kareem Hunt caught that ball, and Cooper DeJean made a great play, great tackle. It was awesome. But if you watch it back, it took Kareem Hunt like 3 seconds to get going. Like what? It was really almost sad where you're like, dude, the old Kareem, that's an easy first down. That's 25 yards. And that was nothing. So I don't know. And I've seen Alvin Kamara and Breece Hall and all these names. Yeah, I would love it. Devon Achane would be great. Until the Chiefs make a move, when have they shown us to do that, to make a splash move in season, especially at running back? I mean, they've had running back issues for a while now. I don't know. And I'm frustrated because we all at least could have foreseen this. We all had some concern, and it's playing out worst case scenario. It's killing the offense. It's killing Patrick Mahomes. I don't know where they go outside of more touches for Rashard Smith, or at least a try to activate Elijah Mitchell to see if he has anything.
Well, he did not look good in the preseason. And I was a big Elijah Mitchell backer coming into the preseason, but that was basically by process of elimination. You know, I no longer believed in Kareem. I think he serves a role. You know, he's good at picking up short yardage, and the Chiefs needed him last season, and he filled in admirably. But Isaiah Pacheco didn't look like himself. So, and I don't know. Rashard Smith is kind of the only upside play left, unless you think Elijah Mitchell has discovered the fountain of youth and like rejuvenated his broken down body, which I don't think is likely. But it's like we've gone through the 5 stages of grief, because originally I think there was a lot of anger. Like, this was one of the best running back classes ever, and the Chiefs waited into the 7th round. And then there might have been, I don't know if it was acceptance or bargaining or denial, but you and I both saw Isaiah Pacheco look a little bit more spry in the preseason and kind of forced ourselves to talk ourselves into it or something. And now we're back to maybe depression. Like, okay, we were originally right with our first takes. We should have stuck with that. And it's pretty clear that at a time when the league the pendulum has swung back to the running game pretty convincingly. You know, you had a team last year that won the Super Bowl that ran more than they passed. The Chiefs just haven't gotten back on board. And I think they touched the stove and really severely burned their hands on CAH. And they just haven't been able to go back to the running back pot in a significant way. it's really been nothing but UDFAs, 7th round picks, and castaways. I mean, that's just, and they've had some success doing that, like some big hits with guys like Jerick McKinnon and Damian Williams. And of course, yeah, Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round, that's a hit. That doesn't mean you have to stay with them for 4 years. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that. And I think it's time for the Chiefs to make a big swing at running back. No, I do not think the Miami Dolphins are going to trade them Devon Achane, right? Like that would be a little crazy. Maybe the Saints say, Alvin Kamara, you've been a good soldier. We're going to give you a chance to win a Super Bowl at some point in the season. I wouldn't even count on that. But if I'm Brett Veach, I am working those phone lines. I think he absolutely has to find somebody to bring in here and give this running back group a little bit of life. Number 10, will Xavier Worthy's shoulder permit him to play? And if so, what percentage will he be at?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll be able to play. Maybe I'm too optimistic here, but I think Xavier Worthy plays, and at the time of recording, of course. And I'll say he's at 85%. I don't think you want to throw him a lot of balls that he has to go up and get. I think you're going to maybe try some gadgety things to put the ball in his hands, or maybe even just almost streaks and just say, hey, try and take the top off. Maybe we can get you one, but it'll at least extend the secondary back and hopefully open up some things in the intermediate area. I just can't imagine trying to move your arm up and, going up and get balls, like no back shoulder throws by any means. That's not really his game either way, but I also want to see him. This was unavoidable, really. I mean, it wasn't necessarily his fault, but he's been a healthy guy all through Texas, even though we know his size and his smaller stature. Go out of bounds more or slide. Like, go down quicker. Don't take hits on. I mean, Tyreek Hill was great at that. Never let a guy get a straight-on hit on you. I mean, you look on the NFL, Jamar Chase sometimes does that. Amon-Ra St. Brown does that. I mean, phenomenal wide receivers do that because they know they're more valuable when they're playing than when they're not. Again, this was not Xavier Worthy's necessarily fault here, but it was a freak thing with your own teammate, friendly fire. But, yeah, I do think we'll see Xavier Worthy in this game, but I don't think we're going to see him in a full capacity by any means.
I agree with you, and I would not be tossing up contested catches to Xavier Worthy like he's Des Bryant, really in any circumstance, but especially not this one. And like, you read my mind. I was sitting here while you were talking, thinking about Tyreek Hill, thinking about the way Xavier Worthy wins, and he is so fast, much like Tyreek Hill. There's just not a lot of guys like this that he can take an out that would be worthless to throw to most players because they'd pick up 2 or 3 yards, and he can pick up 6, 7, 8 and get out of bounds. And he needs to get out of bounds. I think part of his role now is protecting his body and that shoulder so he can make it to the regular season. And I remember watching CeeDee Lamb last year go in and out of games with an issue like this. And it's because CeeDee Lamb did not change the way he played at all. He was still trying to go up and get it and fight for yards. And I don't think the Chiefs really need Xavier Worthy to be a hero. They don't need him to be even the engine of the offense because Rashee Rice is coming back to do that. What they need from him is to keep defenses honest with his speed and his playmaking ability. So you do not, I don't know what he weighs, 170 pounds, something like that, but you do not want guys weighing 250 pounds falling on that shoulder because he's just not going to make it. He's not going to make it. So I put him maybe at 70%. And if he's any better than that, I'll be thrilled. Let's get out of here with our final score predictions. Sterling, who do you have winning and by what margin?
By the way, really quick, when I say 85%, that was probably a little high, but I also say it in regards of like you don't play if you're 50%. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think you're playing if you're 70-ish%. If you can't go out and at least do a lot of what you normally do, you can do everything, right? But I think he can do 85% of what he normally could do, of how they use him traditionally speaking, of course. If it was, I don't know, but back when Calvin Johnson, for example, no, I don't even know if you'd play Calvin Johnson because you're well, he can't do all of what makes Calvin Johnson. I think Xavier Worthy can do most of what makes Xavier Worthy. That's why I'm saying 85% of a normal Worthy game. I'm sorry. What was the question again? I had at least
Final score prediction.
Oh yeah, final score. I think I went ugly game. I think I went like 24-19 or something like that. Just a 23-19. Chiefs win. Probably won't be pretty, but at least they get in the win column. Why would we pick them to blow a team out, even though they should? They should have blown teams out all the time. Do they? No. The answer is like 5 times in the past 10 years. They don't blow, well, since like 2022, past like 5. They just win. They don't care about how much they win by. They just win. And they'll get in the win column. Ugly win against the Giants.
Well, things have flipped. They've went from winning ugly games tight to losing ugly games tight. And I feel like this team, if they played the Jayhawks right down the road, it would be a 20-15 game. They just don't blow teams out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to predict a kind of a field goal fest from the Giants. 2015, the Chiefs eke it out. They get off the schneid, and all is right in the kingdom, or at least working back towards it, because right now with the dynasty is dead talk, I've been blocking it out, but it slips through. There's no way to avoid it. And it's really annoying, because we know the way these things go. We all witnessed the on to Cincinnati moment in the New England Patriots dynasty, right? Well, guys, that's all we've got to you. Thanks for the chat. You guys always bring it. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. First off, subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a show or short. If you're an audio listener, either on Spotify or Apple, please consider leaving a 5-star review, telling us how great we are or how decent we are, or something somewhat pleasant. That would be helpful. And if you ask a question on Apple, we will answer it on Thursday. We will actually get back to you on the OG Hour. That's a lot of fun. Lastly, check out the mothership, Matt Connor and the gang over at arrowheadaddict.com. Join us live next Friday at 3 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.